Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for the Vertical Response Integrating Email and Social Media webinar. This is also brought to you by the San Francisco Professional Food Society. Just a couple things before I get into the webinar, and there's lots of stuff to go over today, so I can't talk too much here at the beginning. This is going to be probably about 45 to 50 minutes long. I did find a lot of examples for you guys to help inspire you, but hopefully I can get through those fairly quickly. If you have questions, please feel free to type those into the box that you see in the GoToWebinar window, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have at the end of the webinar. I am the only one here, so I can't do it during. But also, if you have any questions about vertical response or anything like that, I'm happy to answer it, or just marketing in general, I'm happy to answer those as well. So also, just to let you guys know, I am recording this. I'm not sure if that's something that you normally would have access to, but I am recording it, so you guys can view this if you want to. And if you would rather look at the slides, I can also put those up. I usually put those on the Vertical Response help site. And so you guys can access this information later if you need to refresh your memory about anything once you start doing some of this stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into this. These are some of the things that we're going to go over today. So I'm going to talk a lot about social media and give you some tips on social media for your businesses. I'm also going to talk about using email and social media together, and we're going to talk about those as we go along. I'm basically going to go over 3 different social media platforms, the ones I think that probably will work the best for the type of businesses that you have. So we'll get into those specifically as we move through the deck. There are lots of examples along the way. Not all of them are specifically related to restaurants or beverage services, but there's still good inspiration anyway. And as I said, there will be time for Q&A at the end, so think of questions and I'll be happy to answer as many of those as I can. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this infographic, and infographics are really fun, but they're also usually really long, so they don't work very well in presentations like this. But I took out some of the most important things to take away from this. The thing that you want to concentrate on here on this, on the left-hand side, it's basically showing you how many people are using smartphones and accessing information online. So if you look on the left, it says 68% of the people who have smartphone owners browse the web on their smartphones every day. And 75% of all online consumers use social media sites regularly, which is why social media is such an important part of marketing for your business. Also, if you look on the right-hand side, most of the people who are online consumers will look up restaurant information online before they go and visit the restaurant. So it could be that they're looking for the website or directions, or maybe looking at the menus. So this is certainly something to keep in mind as we're looking at some of the things we're going to take a look at today, and just in general, you know, people are out there online. So first of all, social media is simpler than you think, and I know it can be kind of daunting when you start to think about what it is that you're going to do with social media and where you're going to go. There are probably hundreds of different social media platforms out there. You do not need to be on all of them. In fact, I wouldn't recommend that you be on all of them. What you really probably want to do is think about a couple of them, the ones that I think, or the ones that you think are going to work well with your company, with your business, where you think your customers are. So you need to think about that before you just get in there. That being said, the one place you probably want to be is Facebook. Pretty much everyone and literally their dog or cat has a Facebook page or a Facebook account. So you can reach pretty much all of your consumers through Facebook because they will all have an account there. So I would definitely encourage you to use Facebook, and a lot of what we're going to talk about today is Facebook. But you know, there's other places that might work well for you. Twitter, YouTube can work well for restaurants. So if you want to have some demonstrations, you can do something like that. The other one that I'm going to talk about today is Pinterest. Again, it's a very visual platform, which I think will work well with the type of businesses that you have, and we're going to go over why also it's just one of the fastest growing social media platforms today. But of course, you can pick the ones that you think work best for you. You also want to think about what you want to do with your social media, what you plan to get out of your efforts. Just getting people to like you on Facebook doesn't necessarily guarantee they're going to come into your restaurant or your bar or wherever it is you're trying to get them to come. So think about what you're trying to do with your Facebook page and how you can get, or any of your social media, how you can achieve your goals through your social media. You can certainly ask your customers where they are to find out which would be best. As I said, pretty much everyone has a Facebook page. The last number I heard was 800 million, and that was a couple months ago, so I'm sure it's probably close to 900 at this point. So there's lots of Facebook pages or accounts out there. You can also do testing and find out where you get a lot of engagement so that you can be where your followers are. You know, maybe you do a test and you find out that Twitter, although you have some people there, you're not getting a lot of engagement. A lot of people aren't retweeting or using your hashtag, so maybe that isn't the place that all of your customers are. But testing can also help you find that type of information. And the nice thing about social media is there are a lot of people who know what they're doing out there, and they are more than happy to help you. So you can always ask. You can post on your Facebook page, you can post on Twitter, you can do a search, you can ask people you know. There's going to be a lot of people who have information to help you with social media. So some universal strategies to help you with your social media, and this is going to apply to pretty much any platform that you're going to use. You want to be consistent. So the thing about social media, which will probably be a little difficult for a lot of people, a lot of businesses, not just your business, but any business, is how quickly social media moves. Facebook, you can post a little less frequently than you do if you're using Twitter. Twitter moves very quickly. You need to post quite often on that one. Facebook, maybe not quite as often, but you still need to post fairly regularly so that people, one, get used to seeing the information that you're putting in there, and then two, so that you have reasons for them to come to your page or to follow your Twitter feed. So you need to have a consistent plan on how you're going to be updating your social media platforms. The other nice thing about social media is that it's a great way for you to interact, and people can interact with your business and with other people interested, especially on Facebook. Facebook makes it really easy to create a community for people to interact with each other online. So you can go and ask questions, you can see how people respond to the questions that you're asking, you can interact with them, which makes it a little more interesting for the people following you. But you know, sometimes something might come up and you don't need to be afraid to take something offline. If there's an in-depth question that comes up, you can certainly just have a conversation off your social media platform instead of trying to do it all through there. One of the things that we like to recommend for social media is to moderate as little as possible, and this is something that a lot of businesses have a hard time with. Being transparent is pretty important, and being transparent in the social media world is really important. It makes people feel valued, even if what they're saying on your Facebook page isn't 100% positive. If you can gracefully manage the things that people are saying on there, that gives you a lot, makes you look a lot better, your company a lot better, and the people who already love you are going to love you even more for being able to gracefully handle someone saying something less than positive on your Facebook page. Now, spam, of course, comes up all the time. People will put some really strange things on your Facebook wall, in your Twitter feed. If you have a blog, you'll get some strange spam posts or comments. So, of course, those kind of things you definitely want to delete. You don't need those on there, but you know, it's okay not to have everything be glowing and raving reviews. People like to share, and with social media and how people are interacting with it with their phones and everything, sharing is a lot easier now than it ever has been. And it's one of the things we're going to talk about today is sharing your emails and using social media with your emails for sharing. Using buttons on your website, blog, or emails where people can find your different social media platforms is certainly one way to share, or where they can share what you've written. Vertical Response has some built-in tools to allow your recipients to share your emails on social media as well as you. But whatever you can do to make it easier for people to share what you're sending them, the better off for you. And your content cannot be all about you. You can, of course, this is really a platform to get people interested in what your business is doing, but you also want to keep people interested in what's going up there. So if everything that you're putting on social media is just buy, 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 people will get tired of that and they'll be less interested. So you want to give different information about something related to what you do. Maybe ask questions or polls about what people like. So it shouldn't all just be come in and buy something from us. And I'll show you some examples in just a couple minutes for that. So importantly, you need to market your social presence everywhere. So your social marketing doesn't live in a silo, and people need to know where you are. So, you know, if you have a Facebook page, but you're also starting to do things on Twitter or Pinterest, put that on Facebook. They can certainly come and find you there. And any other traditional type of marketing that you do, even if it's like print, include information about your social presence there. You also want to give your followers a reason to follow you. Again, it isn't just all about you, so give them a reason why they should be following you on social media. Maybe you have a promotion, you have a new menu, you have some new cocktails, whatever. Give them a reason to come and follow you, and then make sure you deliver what it is that you've promised. So let's jump into Facebook. And as I said, this is probably going to be the one that most people will use at least first. If you haven't done any social media marketing, this is where you want to go because this is where everybody is. So as I said, the nice thing about Facebook is that it makes it easy to create a community. And people can interact with you, they can interact with your business, they can interact with other people because of the ability to comment on different posts that you have there. So you can have all kinds of different things on your Facebook page. And you're also able, the nice thing about Facebook is anyone who might be following you or that you know on Facebook, you can tag them in your post and your post will show up on their page as well. So that kind of information can be shared amongst other pages that maybe wouldn't ordinarily put your information in front of people who are currently following you or people who would be looking for you necessarily. With social media, as with email marketing, you want to use a call to action. So what it is that you want people to do. You know, maybe you want somebody to like your post or share your post. The liking and sharing is really important because when somebody likes your post on Facebook, it shows up in that feed on the right-hand side where people can see what all of their friends on Facebook are doing. So people can see when somebody's liking your page, which means you can get more people coming to your page. Same with shares, that shows up as well. You can incentivize engagement, so you know, do like a giveaway or something like that. The one thing you need to keep in mind is Facebook has its own rules about doing giveaways, and so you need to make sure you're following their rules. And they recently changed them. One of the things that they changed is that you can't ask for likes when you're doing a contest. They changed that recently. You used to be able to do that. So Facebook has this posted. If you're thinking of doing that, then just make sure you're following their rules. So Facebook and email marketing, of course, go together really well. One of the nice things about Facebook is that you can add an opt-in form for people to be able to sign up for your email. They don't have tabs anymore like they did prior to March when Timeline came in, but they still work just like a tab. So you can have one of your tabs on the timeline be an opt-in for people to sign up to be on your email list so that they can get more information about what's going on with your company. Of course, including social buttons in your email is a must. And there's a couple things that you can do. As I said, there is social sharing in our system, so people can share your email on their own Facebook page. But you can also include a button where people can just find you on Facebook. So they can click on the button and go to Facebook and like your page. And you can, of course, send out an email, and this is pretty common, announcing that you're on social media and where people can find you. And, of course, in all your emails include your social media buttons. This is what the VR social sharing looks like. If you're not familiar with it, at the very top there are buttons that your recipients can use to share your email on their own. This isn't anything to do with your social media, it's theirs, but they're going to be sharing your email on their own Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn page. And you can also do that as you're sending out the email. You can share your email on your Facebook and Twitter pages. So let's get into some examples. And I tried to find some good examples, and I'm going to point out as we go along here some of the things that I liked on these different Facebook pages that I went to. So as I said, timeline kind of changed how everything looks. So if you look here on the bottom right-hand side, there's a blue arrow. There is always going to be these four tabs at the bottom that they show. There's more. If you look a little to the right of that blue arrow, they actually have 7 of these buttons, but only 4 show at a time, and one of them has to be photos. You can't get rid of that photos option on your timeline anymore on Facebook. But you can certainly use that to your advantage, and I love that they have a picture of some veggies or fruit there. I guess it's strawberries. Those are really big strawberries. And it really ties into what their business is. But sharing photos on Facebook is really important, and we're going to see this in some of the examples that I'm going to show you. And the reason is that the algorithm that Facebook uses to get your post up to the top of somebody's feed or the top of their wall where they can see your post is a secret. But, you know, in general, if you have a video, if you have a picture, or if you have a link, and in that particular order, those are more interactive, and so those are the things that will tend to get your post to the top of the page instead of not necessarily being seen by everyone. The more your followers interact with your posts as well, that also helps get your posts up there. So think about what you're putting on your page and mix up things like using pictures, using links, and using video on your Facebook page. So this is the same company, and again, it's not all about what they're selling, and I think that's really one of the things they do strongly here. If you look on the left-hand side, it just says, we're in the mood for a barbecue. This is a noodles shop, a noodles restaurant, so they're not selling barbecue, but you know, it's springtime, it's time to start thinking about this kind of food, so I think it's really great how they did that. They also posted a question, would you like to see gluten-free noodles at Noodles? I'm sorry, gluten-free option at Noodles. And you can see how many people liked that particular post that they put on there. There was a lot of comments, there was a lot of likes. So these are the sort of things that you can post on your Facebook page to get people to interact with your organization. They also have recipes on here which go with what they're selling, but it isn't necessarily one of their recipes. Again, it's something that they're giving to the people following them. It isn't just come in and buy our noodles. Here is another fun Facebook page, and again with this timeline you have 2 images to play with at the top. You have the big one, and then you have the smaller one that's on the left, this one right here. Generally speaking, this should probably be your logo. These guys have a slightly different picture for theirs, but that smaller picture on the left-hand side is what people will see when you have posts. So when they're looking at their feed, that small image is what's going to show up. So think about what people are going to see when they're seeing your posts go by, and make sure you have everything set up for that. Again, these guys have videos which go well with what they do. So if you have videos, you might want to think about using that on Facebook. And again, people can interact with videos, and that can really help with getting more people to see what you're doing on social media. Here are some of the things that they posted. So you can see they have a picture of a new beer that they had created, and they had a lot of comments. They also commented on the win that they had at the World Beer Cup, and look at how many people liked that. A lot of their followers were thrilled to hear that. And again, that's something that you can share if you're recognized for something that you've done at your restaurant or your bar, wherever it is that you are working. Be happy to share that. And this is also great content for emails as well when you're trying to think of what to put in your email. This type of information works really well. Again, you can see they have a video on their page, and they also did a little cause marketing there on the bottom left-hand side, where they did some donation to a local museum. Also great for keeping people informed on what's going on with your company and giving back. That's always a nice thing. And also great for email content as well. Here is another fun one, a local coffee shop. And again, they have a great picture at the top. They have their logo for the picture that they're going to use for their posting, and they have a shopping cart because, of course, they have coffee that you can purchase. That may not apply to everybody, But they did a nice job with the tabs that they have there at the top to show some of the things that you can interact with on their Facebook page. They also do a really nice job with how they're interacting with their customers online. They shared a link from CNN about coffee drinking gives you longer life, which is great. Again, people interact with that a lot. You can see all the likes and the comments. They have a picture here of a new store that's going to be opening. Again, images and links are a great way to get your posts into the feed and to get your followers interacting. Here is a vineyard, and they have one of their tabs as events, which is also a nice thing that you can do with Facebook. You can share all kinds of things through Facebook. So, you know, if you have special event spaces at your restaurant that people can use or rent out, that's certainly something that you can advertise on your Facebook page. Any kind of special things, you know, maybe you have gift cards or you sell some special products at your restaurant or your bar, you can certainly put that type of information on your Facebook page as well. And again, they also have videos on this one about winemaking. And here are some of the posts. What I wanted to point out in this one in particular is that some of these posts are coming from Twitter, and you can see that where the blue arrow is. Again, your social media doesn't have to live in separate silos. They all work together. And the thing about Twitter and Facebook is the people who like Twitter will go to Twitter to get information. Not that they won't necessarily go to Facebook, but they'll go to Twitter first. And the same with people who like Facebook. They'll go to Facebook to get their information before they go to Twitter. So you can actually post the same information on different platforms. You're not necessarily going to be repeating yourself for everyone following you, because they're probably not going to hit every social media outlet that you're using. So here's another great thing with a restaurant is that you can have all the information about your business, the times that you're open, phone number, how to get there, all of that great stuff that people need when they're trying to come to eat at your restaurant. Again, they're also showing here that they're available on Twitter, and that's a great way for people who would prefer to get info on Twitter to know about that. Here's one of the things that they did. They said if enough people like this post, it might end up on the menu, but right now it's just a special, and then they have a lovely picture of what the special is, and they had a lot of people like it. I don't know if it's made it onto the menu or not, but they have a lot of pictures on their Facebook page, which again is great for a restaurant because that really gets people interested in coming and visiting your restaurant. So here is another local business. They are basically a beer garden, and they have some food, and every day they have a special. Just about every day they have a special. They have a pretty limited menu. So whatever the special is, they always post on Facebook so that you can come in and get whatever it is that you're looking for. And so that's what you can see on the right-hand side there. They have whatever their daily special is, so you can come in and get that. And then they have info about some of the beer taps. One of the things that they do well is mix things up a bit. So it isn't just the menu information. Of course, they always update that, but they have a rotating list of beers that they sell. And taking a picture of all the taps is kind of a fun way for Facebook followers to see what all of the new beers are that they have there. That's very fun. And again, image is important. And then they also shared some links from different places. Again, having different types of interactions with their followers is very helpful as well. And here is an email, again incorporating information from Facebook into email. So this one has find us on Facebook and like us for specials and offers. And that's pretty typical of what a lot of companies will do with their Facebook, is to ask people to like them, and then they'll have specials and offers. And that's what we saw on the previous page. Their Facebook page shows all of their specials and any new beers and things like that. That's what they're using their Facebook page for. This is just part of an email, but they are saying, we will continue to lead the way. Please be sure to follow us. That's really cute. And then if you like them, you'll be able to find out what's going on at Breeze Lounge Bar and Restaurant, as well as getting on-the-spot special offers. And so all you need to do is follow them, and that is in their email as well. And they made it pretty large in their email so people know that it's important to go find that information. This is an email that's not specifically a restaurant, but one of the things that I like about this email is that it's essentially an email asking people to come find them on social media. There's a little bit of information at the top about their products, but then the other two spots, and this is almost the very bottom of the email, it's not a huge email, are find us on Facebook, and it says why. And now we can tweet while we eat. And again, it says why you should be following them on Twitter. You can get recipes, coupons, updates, and things like that. And the same with Facebook. So they're giving their followers a reason to follow them on Twitter or Facebook, and they sent it in their email. Now, you can also just include this information as part of the email. This was an email about these bakery or baking pans, but at the bottom of the email, they gave people a reason to come and find them on Facebook. So if you don't want to send an email that's just saying, come find us on social media, you can include something fun about your social media in your email. So this is a little above and beyond just having a Facebook button in their email. They say, stop by your local store every day this week to receive a baking tip. Can't make it to the store? Then like us on Facebook, which worked for me. I wasn't following them on Facebook until I saw the picture of that tart, and now I am, because that was pretty awesome. And this is another brewery who has, they do some fun things with their social sharing icons there at the bottom right, which I just absolutely love those. But you can also see they have some testimonials in their email. This is the bottom of their email talking about the tours of their breweries. And they ask people to share their stories. And they can send in an email, or they can go to Facebook and share their stories there. So again, it's a great way to interact with the people in their community and creating a community on their Facebook page by asking people to share stories about their beer. So let's talk a little bit about Twitter. So Twitter, again, moves much quicker than Facebook does. So Facebook, you probably want to update a couple times a week, if not daily. That is enough to keep people interested in what you're doing. If you post every day, that will definitely keep them interested. If there's more, you can post more than once a day on Facebook. On Twitter, and this is the thing that usually scares business people, is Twitter moves much faster than Facebook. Posting a couple times a week isn't enough because people aren't going to see you come up very often because it moves so quickly. So Twitter, you really need to post something on Twitter a couple times a day, at least daily, or a couple times a day for sure. You can share your emails on using the social sharing feature on Twitter, as well as can your followers or your recipients of your email. They can share your email through Twitter as well. You can also, to keep people interested in what you're doing, you can tweet things about company news, any contests, if you have specials. Again, if you have a daily special at your restaurant, you can tweet that and people will be more than happy to get that information from Twitter. Since you need to post a little more often on Twitter, think about the other things that you can share that might be related to what it is that your business is doing that may not have been specifically written by you. So there might be some relevant articles, as we saw with the coffee article from CNN. You can share things like that on Twitter as well. Also follow people or other companies or organizations that are like you that have content that you can share. You can certainly retweet something that you're following from someone else so that your followers also get to see the great information that you can find. And by doing stuff like that, by sharing content, it also helps get people to look at you as a leader and to come to you, to your site, to your Twitter feed, to get information from you. Thanking people for tweeting you is great, and retweeting positive mentions are also good. People really like to see their posts being acknowledged, and if they're saying something nice about you, then they really like to see that. So that can also be part of your Twitter stream, is just retweeting anything nice or thanking people for great or positive posts that they have. Twitter and email go together as well. since Twitter has a limited amount of characters, I myself find that limiting, and you can probably tell I'm a talker. 140 characters, I can't say very much, but that does give you, it gives you enough room for you to be able to share information with people. And again, tweeting your emails is a great way to do that, and you can tweak what the post says. You can see a screenshot there of a post from sharing the email. We put a short URL in there so that people can see your email, which is great, and then you can edit the post if you need to before it goes up. You can tweet things like sign up to receive email-only offers if you want to help grow your list. The thing about Twitter, which is a little different than Facebook, of course, is that you don't get that big page with different tabs to set up to match what your business is doing. So you can't put an opt-in form on your Twitter page as you can for your Facebook page. So with Twitter, you would need to have a link where people could go sign up to be on your mailing list. But you can still do those types of things. And again, that helps keep with the stream of information that you need to put in there. So let's take a look at a couple of posts. Now, as I said, not everything is specific to the industry that you're in, but what I want you to do to take away from all of these things is what you can do with your own business. So this is somebody who was tweeting their email through the social sharing tool, and their subject line wasn't quite going to work on Twitter. And that's one of the things. Your subject line works great in an inbox where it makes total sense for people, but when you tweet it, sometimes it's taken out of context and it doesn't make quite as much sense. So you might need to change it a little bit, and that's what these guys did. Free pool party, peep our latest newsletter. Definitely not the subject line for an email. That probably wouldn't have worked very well. But for a Twitter post, it's great. And then they have the link for where they can go view the latest newsletter. So here is Noodles and Company again. They also are they're very active in social media, so I have them on all of the things that I'm talking about today. But they have some different things going through their tweet feed or their Twitter feed here. And you can see that they're tagging people and answering people's questions. You can see the @ sign at the beginning of a lot of their posts. They're also sharing images, which you can certainly do with Twitter. And one of the things that I really like that they did with this one is that they shared an image from Pinterest, which is going to be the next thing that we talk about. Not quite yet. We're going to finish talking about Twitter, but Pinterest has become really important, but it is a place that you can store images. So instead of using the tools that you can usually use with Twitter for posting your pictures, using Pinterest will send people right to your Pinterest page where they can see what else you have going on there. So I think that that's a really great idea. And here's a close-up of it. So in the top left you can see that is the tweet that they sent out. And then clicking on the link brings up the picture of mint straight from the garden on their Pinterest page. This is Maker's Mark, and they do a couple of things. They're very active on Twitter, and they do tag a lot of people, or they retweet. You can see a couple of retweets in there next to the blue arrows. They're retweeting some of the people who had tagged them originally, so that's great. That shows up in those other people's feeds as well as theirs, so their tweets are being shared on other Twitter feeds. This is the vineyard that we saw earlier, and again, some of the stuff that's on here is also on Facebook, and that's fine. Most people are usually consuming in different places. The one thing that I would like to say about this is that if you've linked or if you're using a tool for posting on Facebook and Twitter and you're a prolific tweeter, I would recommend that you not link your Twitter and Facebook page. If you tweet a lot and all of those tweets are showing up on your Facebook stream, it can get really frustrating for people if they keep seeing things coming in that may not be what they were expecting to get from what they were looking for at your Facebook page. So I've seen this before where somebody had connected their Twitter and Facebook account and they were tweeting things like waiting in line at the DMV, and I was like, I don't care. This has nothing to do with your business or anything to do with why I'm following you. I don't really want to see what the guy next to you in the DMV is reading. It doesn't matter to me. So if you think that you're going to be tweeting a lot, I would recommend that you keep those feeds separate and update them separately instead of at the same time, just so that you don't frustrate the people on Facebook who may not necessarily want to see all of the tweets coming through. He doesn't do that. I'm not saying that he does that. It's just one of the things to point out. Here is another local company, and they do some fun things here. They talk about their happy hours and the cocktails and some of the deals that they have. They do have really good cocktails, so that's a good thing for them to be tweeting. They could probably also include some images in here. I would love to see what guacamole tacos look like. That sounds kind of good to me. So that might be something fun that they could add into here, is start adding some images to their Twitter feed as well. But tweeting their happy hour specials is a great idea. And here is Phil's. Again, they have people who are tagging this company, and so those tags show up in their Twitter stream, and then you can see next to the blue arrow, that one was also retweeted by Phil's. They get a lot of tags, and they thank a lot of people. Thanks for coming by. They do a lot of that when people tweet about how awesome their coffee is, which is great, a great way to interact with their followers, as well as getting some of their posts out there in front of other people. Here is a brewery, and these guys do a lot with hashtags, which is also another important aspect of using Twitter, and that is to make sure that your posts are showing up in various streams, and that's how hashtags will work. So there's always a hashtag already been created, but you can create new ones specific to your business. But I would also recommend that you use hashtags that are already being used by other people. So for example, in that first tweet, they have craft beer. So anyone who's following the craft beer hashtag will see this show up in their feed. And that will be a lot of people who will see that. I'm not sure as many people will be looking at the Steamboat thread, but they could be. So you can see on here they have a number of hashtags, which means not only does it show up in their own Twitter feed, so anyone following them will see it, but also anyone following those hashtags will see their posts as well, so that their info gets in front of a lot of other people. They also do a nice job with pictures on this feed as well. Here is using some Twitter pieces in emails, and Twitter doesn't show up in email quite as often or as prevalent as Facebook does, but again, it depends on your audience, and a lot of people really appreciate getting information from Twitter. So this company has a big, lovely graphic at the top of their email that says follow us on Twitter, and again, it will tell you why you should follow them. Updates on restocked items, bonus offers, and flash discounts. So that's a great reason to be following them on any social media. This company did a giveaway on Twitter, which again you don't see as often as you see on Facebook, but it's still pretty easy to do. And really all you need to do is say, number whatever, who's tweeting our hashtag will win this, right? So the 20th person to tweet the hashtag will win a prize. You could do something like that. And it's easy to see in your feed, so people will not be confused as to who the winner would be. But this is at the bottom of their email. So not only are they giving away prizes, but they're also driving people to their Twitter feed by doing something like this and including it in their email. So let's talk about Pinterest. I am sure at least some of you know Pinterest. I'm not sure all of you have accounts yet for your business. So this is why you should be on Pinterest. This is another infographic. First of all, if you look at the top, it has been growing by leaps and bounds, and this is only up to January of 2012. So between December and January, they added 5 million users on their site in a month. So there's a huge amount of people who are using this, and at this point, 6 months later, that number is much bigger. Also, if you look at the bottom there, it's driving traffic, and as you can see, when this was made, and I know it's higher now, Pinterest drove more traffic to websites than YouTube, Reddit, Google+, or LinkedIn. And actually, I just read the other day that it had also passed Twitter and Google. And as you can see in this infographic, it was nipping at the heels in January, and it has actually passed that. So there's a lot of people using this, and it's a great way to drive traffic to your website where people can find out more about what's going on with your company. So a couple things about Pinterest. You're basically going to be creating a board or boards. It's kind of like a virtual corkboard where you can pin things on it, but people can see what's being pinned and they can pin it themselves. So you want to create interesting boards that have something to do with your business. You can include pictures that aren't specific to your menu, for example, but that maybe relate to what you're doing. And I'm going to show you some examples, so don't worry about that. Content, you can use your own images, again, taking pictures of your happy hour cocktails or taking pictures of your newest special is a great way to get people to interact with what's going on your Pinterest board. And also other content. Again, a lot of social media doesn't have to be just your content, and hopefully you noticed that today where sharing links and sharing images from other places also works to keep your social media interesting and new. You need to be active. So the more you pin, the more people are going to see your posts. And there's different ways to sort the data coming through Pinterest, but when most people log in, they see the people that they're following on the main page, but you can also see everyone. So if you filter it to see everyone, the more of your pins that are available to be seen, the more likely people will see them as they log in there. The more people repin what you've posted, more people are going to be able to access your website or your Facebook page. You can link them there, but wherever you're trying to link people with your Pinterest page, the more people who see your pins on Pinterest means more eyeballs potentially going to your website. So here are some tips for Pinterest. It works slightly differently than some of the other tools that we've looked at today. It's something that requires a little bit of browsing and looking, and so it's usually something that most people are most active on Pinterest after work, not during work. So if you're pinning at night past 8 p.m., then there will be more people who are going to be on Pinterest and more likely to see your new pins going up. When you're putting up a new image on your Pinterest board, make sure you have a good description and maybe a call to action. So, this could be a good place for you to give some information about, maybe a favorite dessert that you offer or a favorite cocktail. You can give a recipe away and have that type of information available on Pinterest. Because if you look at the next bullet, tutorials, guides, DIY, and recipe pins see a 42% higher click-through rate. So if you want people to come and visit your website or visit your restaurant, then including things that people could do themselves or great pictures to inspire them, that's what Pinterest does a lot, will help drive traffic to your website. Use your keywords, whatever you would be using for your SEO, when you are putting up your images and giving the names to your images as well as your descriptions, because this can still help with SEO for your website as well. So you can, of course, use Pinterest with your email, as hopefully I have shown most of everything today. Just by adding a button is very helpful, but also being able to share your emails through the different social media platforms also help people to interact with your business. The nice thing about emails in vertical response is we have that link. You can see the blue arrow there. That's from the social sharing section of the account. But that short URL can be pinned, and so you can share your email on your Pinterest page. In fact, Vertical Response has a Pinterest page, and we do share some nice customer emails on our Pinterest page through that link. So you can easily share it yourself. So also, I would just like to point this out. We did talk a little bit about people accessing information online through their iPhones and accessing social media through their iPhones. This is from the Pinterest goodies page. They have a variety of things on their goodies page, and they have an app for iPhone, of course. Most people do, but I just wanted to point out, pin anything that catches your eye. The very first thing they have is memorable meals. As I'm sure you're all aware, people love taking pictures of wonderful dinners or a nice glass of wine that they're having and post it on social media. So again, this is one of the places that people are going to post that is on Pinterest because it's a very visual place. So your followers can post pictures of their memorable meals as well as you, and you can share that on your Pinterest page as well. So here's Pinterest. These are some of the different companies we've looked at so far that have some of these. So this is not just the Pinterest feed, but these are specific companies. So you can see these are all different boards. So this company has 7 boards up there, and then you can see the names of the boards. They have conference room ideas, and then it tells you how many things are pinned there. And so these guys just have some cool stuff, some of the people that they work with. They have pictures of their products, of course. Very delicious looking beer pictures. They also have food pairings, which is a great idea for the product that they have, beer. That's kind of fun to have a pairing. And then they also have a special contest and event that they're doing this year called Unbottled, which was on their Facebook page, and so they also have some pins here on Pinterest. Here's the Vertical Response Pinterest account, and as I said, we do pin customer emails, and so customer emails we love is one of our boards that we have up there, and we just pin it through the social sharing link. That's how we do it. We also share our blog, so if you follow our blog, I don't know if you do, our blogs always have images at the top, and this is why, so that we can pin it on Pinterest. You have to have an image in order to pin it. If there's no image, you can't pin it. So our blogs always have an image so that they're pinnable. We also just have some funny random things up there and some infographics that we like because people on the marketing team love infographics. Here's Noodles and Company again. If you look, favorite things about summer, it's cut off in the title there, is where the mint picture came from that I showed you earlier. But they have pictures of noodle dishes. They just have some favorite places and spaces which are kind of inspirational, favorite food. So it isn't just things about their restaurant. It's including things that they just really like and some beautiful pictures. And again, these are the sort of things that just inspire other people. And by seeing this, they can repin it, and then your information is out there in front of everyone. This restaurant actually has quite a few boards. They have 9 boards, and they have different things related to their business. So they have like a lighter menu, and they have pictures of their food. They have what's new food. They have their pizza. They also have it looks like they work with nonprofits, and they have a picture of the things that they're doing there. So they have a variety of things. They have the celebration, so they were running some specials in the month of May, and they have that up there. Again, people can see this information and repin it on their own boards. The more your pins get repinned, the more people are going to see what you're posting as well as being able to access the information about your restaurant online. This is Pinterest and emails, and unfortunately I didn't have a lot of examples that were related to the food or beverage industry, but you guys can use your imagination. So this company, if you look on the left-hand side, is talking about following them on Pinterest, and again they talk about the things that you're going to find there, so why you should be following them. There's a link to get to their Pinterest page. And one of the things I thought they did great, which you guys don't have to do, but they wrote a blog about using Pinterest. So again, they can drive people to their blog and then drive them to their Pinterest page. So just including a little bit of info about Pinterest in your email, people can share or go find your information on Pinterest. Again, here at the very bottom, you can see all the social sharing buttons, and it says connect with us, and you can see the red P in there. That's for Pinterest. Again, that's becoming a very popular social media platform. So there's a couple things that these guys are doing great. At the top of this one, it says follow us and get recipes and tips. So they have Pinterest and Facebook, and so you can go to Pinterest and find some recipes and tips from them, or even Facebook. And then these are 2 different emails. My screenshots are terrible. At the bottom, there are some different recipes there, and again, you can see they have Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And what's different with the ones on the bottom is if you click on the Pinterest button, it doesn't just take you to their Pinterest page. It gives you the ability to pin it on your own Pinterest board. So I can take a look at this yummy looking snack and pin it on my own Pinterest board. I don't even have to do anything because they've done all the work for me. I just can click on the red P and it'll take me there. And they have a site or a page on their website to help you find all of those little buttons. I should go back here. All the Pinterest buttons, so you can get the red P so people can find you on Pinterest and also share it, or the ability to pin it like you see in the bottom one. So they have a goodies page where you can get all that info. So, oh, I was close. It's 10:50. I said it'd be 45 to 50 minutes. So these are some resources for you all. We have lots of them available for you, and they're all free, so please avail yourself of them. Our help site has videos and text tutorials for creating your emails and using your social media. And the videos are all like 2 minutes long, so if you're trying to figure out how to put your image in there from your Pinterest or your Facebook page, you can easily do that. Just watch a video that's like 2 minutes long. There's also some recorded webinars at our help site if you click on the webinars tab, which can help you. And I have some at the bottom there that are specific to social media, but there are also a lot on there specific for creating emails. But those are two that you can go take a look at. We haven't done a webinar yet on Pinterest, but that's coming up. So we have Twitter, Facebook, blogs, and LinkedIn if you're doing any of those. I didn't really talk about blogs today because I wasn't sure that that was something that people running a restaurant have a lot of time for. But I think the ones that we covered today would be much easier for you to be able to keep updated. We also have free marketing guides, and you can see those there as well. So if you go to that URL, or the easiest thing to do is go to Vertical Response and click on Resources, and you'll see the guides. These are two. We have probably 60 guides to help you with different aspects of email marketing, but those are just two to get you started with using social media and email.